we continue with Good Morning Kenya. For just joining us, Karibu. My name is Jane Wamboy. We want to get started with our Family Check segment, and today is all about polygamy. So any questions, comments, clarifications, or anything you feel you need to know better, please feel free to send them through. Our SMS line is 20154. Leave a name and location. We'd love to know where you're watching us from this morning. You could also go on to Twitter. The hashtag we are using ever remains hashtag Good Morning Kenya. At KBC Television is our official station handle, and my handle is at Jane Wamboy. Now, just as I told you, today we're talking about polygamy, and to help me with this discussion, I have two gents with me. I'll start to the extreme left. He is Fred Abok, a counselor, mentor, motivational speaker, and our resident guest. Karibu sana. And to my immediate left, we have a Reverend Vincent Mulwa joining us today to help us with this discussion. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
All right, so just as I told you, be part of this discussion via the communication platforms that I've just issued. So we want to get right into this whole issue of polygamy. And even before we get into it, just looking at, the African setup, during the intro, I had mentioned this, but let me just go through it again. In Africa, polygamy is legal in 26 countries, yeah? It is illegal and punishable in 6 countries. It is illegal but still practiced in 12 countries, and it is customary in 10 countries in Africa. And just looking at Kenya's polygamy legalization journey, it started way back in 1981, where it was when it was first tabled. It went to the floor, but it never made it through. It took a backseat up until 2007, when it was presented again. It still did not go through. It was presented again in 2009, and it has been pending up until 2014, when it was finally debated upon, and it went forward. And on the 29th of April 2014, it was assented by the president and came into effect on the 1st of May 2014. We can all remember that was the day all the female legislators actually stormed out of parliament after this bill was passed. And since then, it has always had some, it always stirs up different arrays of emotions whenever this issue is brought up. And mind you, this law allows men to have 2 or more wives, and there isn't a limit to it. But what do you think about polygamy? So that is a discussion I want to have with these two gents to help us better understand, is it right, is it not right, and why so? All right?
Yes.
So let's have a very candid, very open discussion for the purpose of our viewer.
Yes.
And let me just start with you, Reverend. What is briefly, your take on polygamy?
Thank you very much, Jen. One, polygamy is not about men having many women. No. Polygamy is about every woman having a non-man, every decent adult woman. Why am I saying that? Because naturally, everybody with eyes can see,
yes,
the women for wife are always more than the men for husband, right? It's a natural factor because the girls mature for wife earlier than when the boys mature for husband. Also, from looking around, you can see there are more widows than widowers. That means the death rate for men is higher than for women. And the doctors say it is about the XX and the XY chromosomes. Well, that's them. But me, I'm just looking at a layman. I'm looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
Right? That there are more women for wife than the available men for husband.
Okay.
Now, throughout the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, there never was a crisis of shortage of husbands. Every woman is in marriage. Every adult normal woman is in marriage. So I'm just saying that with the scriptures, right? Let every adult decent woman be in marriage. And that cannot happen unless we agree. Let some men, the able ones, take the number of women who are willing to take. Nobody is being forced.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Because the option is, if we say that all women cannot, okay, let every man have only one wife, then obviously there is going to be women without a husband. And now we land in the situation where we are. Women without a husband but having children. And the children have no long tail that we say this one is gotten from a monkey. It's gotten from a man in the same church, in the same community, and a married man for that matter. So you find this one married, and it is only the able men.
Yeah.
It is the able men who have had those children fatherless. And they are fatherless. And I said, so what is our problem? Then I looked at the Bible and I realized, by the way, the Bible is a polygamous book from Genesis to Revelation. So I realized we are in trouble for nothing.
You will be telling us a bit about that.
Yes.
Abok, let me hear from you. Your take on polygamy.
Thank you so much, Jen. This morning is very unfortunate that we can actually sit on a national TV and justify the illegitimate to be legitimate. I think the first component is to understand why marriage before even we get into the polygamy. Because marriage has three components. Number one, marriage got to mirror God's image.
Okay.
Number two, marriage needs to mutually complete one another. And number three, marriage needs to be an area of recreation where children are brought forth. Now from Genesis 2, I think verse 26, God is specific, and that's God is the author of marriage. And he says, for a man shall live and cleave to his wife, not wives. Now, from the onset of God, God had desired that one man has one woman. The fact that people go array and married many women, there is nowhere in the Bible that God has ever justified polygamy. Even those areas that polygamy has taken place. All right? But also getting back to look at the reason behind African polygamy. It was very selfish in that people thought that they're wealthy, now they can have many women. But you can never count. Everywhere that I read in the Bible, right from Abraham to Gideon to where, all those stories of polygamy, all of them went haywire. And I can prove to you in scriptures. None of them were ever peaceful. So this issue of polygamy is a misplaced priority. It cannot work in the modern society. It's a selfish kind of an ambition, and it is unbiblical. I can prove it to you.
All right.
Yes.
Now, just looking at the Kenyan population, and that is the married population, it is estimated that 10% of the married population are in polygamous marriages, and these are mostly customary and are not registered. Now, Reverend, let me come to you.
Yes.
From where you stand, you both borrow from the good book. You are a reverend, he's also a minister of the gospel, but you have differing thoughts. Now, let me hear from you. Is polygamy fair?
Well, incidentally, life is not fair. Life itself. In life, you don't always get what you want, right? There's no day I will just get all convenience. I'm saying in this my book that life is not convenient. So when it comes to convenience, well, okay, life is not convenient. Now, polygamy may not be convenient. And it is not. Because even to the men, polygamy is not convenient. It has a lot of hassle. Problems of, and the women are women. From the Bible and outside, very chaotic. And a man having several of them is the more chaotic situation. But then, what is the convenience, or what convenience will you create when we only have 2 women with husbands and 5 women without husbands, and we are in the same environment? What peace will there be? Will there be peace? It's just like you are saying, you have 3 plates of food, right? You have 10 children, and you say, please, this food shall not be shared. The one who gets, just ensure that you take your plate and take care of it well and eat alone. And you tell all the 10 to ensure they get it. Will there be decency in the eating?
But this is
Will
food.
someone not die?
I think we
marriage.
need to come on.
You know, I'm just saying, I'm comparing it to food because the women for wife are more than the available men for husband.
Okay.
So it's not just what I'm simply saying. All right? You have 3 men and you have 10 women. All right? And you see 1 on 1.
But I think what Reverend Mulwa need to clarify is it a cast on stone that a woman got to get married?
Right. That's a very important question. Let me answer that one. It's not a qualification to go to heaven, to get married. But it's a qualification. Sexual morals is a qualification to go to heaven. So if the 7 women will be sexless and childless and free, no problem. And not by force, by willing.
Yeah.
Because nobody in scripture is to be forced into sexlessness and childlessness. All right? So if the 7 without are comfortable and happy, and they are not going for prayers to be prayed for to get a husband, then no problem. What's the problem? Let them go to heaven.
All right.
I have no problem. It's not a
Abok.
condition for going to heaven.
Abok,
Yes.
polygamy.
Yes.
Men are allowed to marry more wives, 2 or more.
Yes.
Is it fair when you base it on issues to do with gender equity and even fairness in itself?
Let me tell you, God is a very planful God.
Yeah.
He's not a disorganized person like men are. God created every woman with his or his own husband. Are you getting one another? And every woman has a husband somewhere. Because when God created Adam and Eve, when God created Adam, he picked the rib of Adam and made Eve. He did not pick the rib of many other men and made Eve. So what God was actually clarifying here, that every man has his rib. What has happened is that there's actually come a lot of misconceptions and because of a sinful nature, people are so anxious and desire to have self-gratification, and this has caused issues of premature death, issues of lack of patience to be able to locate your rib, and the corruption that is all about. And that's why you have a feeling that there are more women than men.
Okay.
But I want to tell you, when you are looking into this holistically, don't just look at Kenya. You, Jane, your rib could be in Australia. Are we getting one another? And in due time, if you're patient and connected to God, he will connect you to the rib in due time. Because the Bible said that he makes everything beautiful at his own time. Now, when we want to justify polygamy, is we are trying to bring an illegitimate to make it legitimate. Marriage is psychological, spiritual, social, and also financial implication. That needs to be clarified in the context, because in marriage, the procreation do take place. It is not like food that is going to satisfy the stomach and you forget about it. Any attachment to a woman has a lot of spiritual and psychological consequences. And so if you want to attach yourself to many women, I don't know how many spirits you want to carry onto yourself so that you can actually be satisfied. So this is why I am standing here to say there is no way, because I would write my brother to quantify for me. I'm a biblical student. I hold a master's in divinity. Quantify for me one specific scripture that those polygamy were ever justified by God.
All right, good.
Take it from
Very
there.
important. Let him take for one. He has used a very serious word, illegitimate. Right.
Yes.
Illegitimacy has to do with it not being legal, not accepted in the law. Now we're talking about the law of God, which is the scriptures.
Yeah.
He is not. I want him to quote for me a verse which says, "Thou shalt not be polygamous," in the scriptures.
Okay.
So that it becomes wrong. A verse which says that so and so sinned by taking in another wife. All these ladies sinned by going into by getting married to a man with another wife.
Yeah.
So that we get to specifics and see the illegitimacy or the illegal as per the scriptures, not the laws of countries. All right, for me, I'll prove the legitimacy of polygamy in the scriptures.
Okay.
One, God is the creator. So.
Yes.
Yes, he made one man, one woman. All right? One man, one woman. I put it very well. God knows the end from the beginning. Nobody is introducing God to what will happen tomorrow. Right? At creation, when he created a man and a woman, he knew how they will be tomorrow.
Yes.
And thousands of years. Then immediately after Adam and Eve, we don't see the continuity of that one-on-one in the offsprings of Adam and Eve. For example, I'm saying, we don't see Cain and Janet, Abel and Margaret, Seth and Jacinda, so that we can say it continued. Incidentally, this one, it just stops with Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Period. All right? Where God intended monogamy forever, he set it very much to be for eagles and doves. Right? They lay 2 eggs. They hatch into a male and a female. And they can never change. They cannot hatch into a female and a female. That is, God said it like that. Now, what happened after the first parents are created? Life continued. And men who are friends of God are seen taking many women, and God is not complaining. Right? God is not complaining when when Abraham takes in Agar. In fact, after the fracas between Agar and Sarah, the Lord did the follow-up, and the Lord is Jesus, to bring back Agar to Abraham. Right? Now look at it. This is Jacob. We are all sons of Jacob. By faith today we are Israel of faith. Jacob has 4 wives. And God is not he's still blessing Jacob. Now, why are we complaining? Now, look at it. Now, I want to where God specifically said, Now, God specifically said, in the case of David and Bathsheba, Nathan comes very clear and tells him, David, why have you done this? The Lord has given you, God, not the devil, has given you all the wives of your master, and all Israel is before you. Why have you despised the commandment of the Lord? The commandment is one: don't go into your neighbor's wife. Right. Another instance where God allows it. Moses is married to Zipporah of Egypt. So, and they are in the way. Is it in Numbers 12? Aaron and Miriam are complaining because Moses has taken in another wife. And God does not punish Moses for taking another wife. He comes and defends Moses. Now, it is the same God of Genesis whom we are talking about. Now, God, we have a very great prophet in the Bible that you cannot overlook, called Isaiah. He prophesied about the coming of Christ. And we say how he prophesied. And Isaiah also says, in Isaiah chapter 4, on that day, in the day of men shortage, all right, 4 women will take hold of one man, and they say, we just want to have your name, right? And the children with the children with their father's name, and we will look for food and clothing. Now that is God speaking by the mouth of Isaiah. Now where are we? Why are we imputing a wrong on God?
Okay.
All right. Now you said God said the 2 shall become one. So that's a very good statement. This statement is said 3 times in the Bible. In Genesis, yes, when God made them, he said the 2 shall become one. All right. In Matthew 19, Jesus Christ repeats the same statement. Now, in Matthew 19, Jesus is talking to a polygamous audience. I'm calling them polygamous because they are not boys. They are Pharisees and the disciples. And they come and ask him a question. These people ask him about divorcing a wife. They live their lives the Moses way. So they know where Moses told them in Deuteronomy chapter 24. When you get a wife, she displeases you, send her away. And that is how the life they have been living. Divorcing and all that. And then they ask, is it lawful to divorce my wife? Jesus Christ told these polygamous men. God made them in the beginning. All right? And so if you go into a woman, the 2 shall become one. This is just Christ saying. Now the 2 shall become one is applied by Jesus to a polygamous audience. Right? Okay. Then Paul clarifies the same in 1 Corinthians. When a man goes into an harlot, is one with her. For God said in the beginning, the 2 shall become one. Now these 2 shall become one is become in polygamy. Just Christ talking to polygamous men, he said the 2 shall become one. Okay. So Paul talking of a man and a prostitute for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. The 2 have become one. So what is this 2? It's not about marriage. It's not restricted to marriage, my brother. The 2 shall become one is the 2 in bed.
So whoever...
They are only 2, never 3. And the 2 in that intimate act, in fact, it agrees. A man shall cleave to his wife and be joined into her, and the 2 become one flesh.
All right.
Whether they are in a process, whether you are with wife number 10, you are 2.
All right, Reverend, hold it there. Abok, now just hearing from what he's saying, it's not about marriage. It's about as long as you are 2, as long as you are sexually engaged.
Yes.
The 2 of you have become one. Good. You counter that in the sense, you know, that how many spirits shall you carry? Yes. As you continue having sex with multiple partners out there. But just hearing from what he's saying, what is your immediate reaction?
You know, I'm perturbed by the fact how we can actually justify the injustice. In this context, Jesus compared marriage to him and the church.
Good. Very nice.
which is one. All right? The church is one. Now, let me go back to my legitimate that you said. Right from Abraham and Agar, how the marriage ended was not very pleasing. It was displeasing. When you talk about Gideon and his 70 son, he did not have a proper marriage. When you talk about King Solomon and his 700 wives, it was displeasing. Even, in fact, Solomon himself talked about vanity of all vanity, because he looked at this thing and see there was no good thing in it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The police does not put, the government does not put a sign on the other road and say, you drive here and see, drive on this other side and see. You say you drive on the right, drive on there. So if you drive on the other side, then they arrest you. What my brother is saying that, where has God said? I want to remind my brother, ukitafuta meno ya kuku utayapata. Let me tell you, what you only get to understand is what is God's intention for marriage. What is God's intention for one wife and one husband? Because if you try to justify the wrong, it will only be right on your face. It does not mean that it is correct. Making it correct, making you feel it correct, does not allow it to be correct. And that's why Paul is saying, if you got to get married, do this. Let a man leave his parent and cleave unto his husband. And let it be one woman, one husband.
All right.
Then be joined together. Because when you get married, you partake of the spirit of whoever you are connected to. And when you take of that spirit will make you one. If you want to be one with a prostitute here, you want to be one with another wife there, you want to be one. So it means you are carrying all generational bondages that are in these people, and you are walking with them. If someone is carrying a coffin generation, that is what you are walking with on the street.
Okay.
All right.
Let
Now,
me try.
Reverend,
Yes.
before we even get further into this discussion,
Yes.
what is good about polygamy?
Well, one thing. In polygamy, every woman has a husband, every child has a father, and there is decency.
There's decency.
Now, okay, let's continue. Yes. There's decency of life.
Decency of life.
Yes.
Okay.
Every woman has a known husband, every child has a known father.
Okay. Abok.
Now, before you go back to him, because he has raised very important things.
No, we'll be getting to you
Yeah, okay,
responding
sound.
to what he was saying. What is wrong about polygamy?
What is wrong about polygamy is that, number one, there is lack of concentration, a man and wife concentrating onto the development of each and every one of them. Why? Because what is the reason behind marriage? And I began first. That number one, marriage needs to mirror God's image. God's image is about God loving man, God in unity and faithful to man, all right? Because that's what qualifies God to be holy, all right? Now, in a polygamous situation, a polygamous man do not say the truth. He is here and he is on the other side. He has to please both partners.
Yeah.
Why? Because women are there to be loved. And if you pick up your woman, you need to love her with all heart. You know, love in sickness, in bad times and good times. Now, when you're giving birth to children and parenting, you need to have a concentration on the children you're giving birth to. And when you are in a polygamy situation, chances are high that there is always a component of love for one family than the other. And I'm talking about this from a personal experience. All right?
Prioritizing becomes a problem.
Yes, priority becomes a problem. There tends to be an imbalance in one way. Why? Because you cannot. Love is like an elastic. You can only spread it to a certain degree. Are we getting one another? And for that, beyond that, there is nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
You can only pretend about it. But also, the component of satisfaction that one man and one woman keep warm with one another. There is confidentiality and there is ownership. In a polygamy, there is no ownership. All right? Why? Because people, husband says, is free to mingle on whatever, and there's no ownership, and then there's now no confidence and that kind of embracing in God's context. So those are things that distract on polygamy. But let me say on the last time, in that the tension that polygamy brings among the children, is unrepairable.
And we'll be getting to how it affects the children. But let me hear from you, Reverend. You had
No.
something to respond to what he was saying.
He has mentioned several things. You know, when you want to make something bad, you only look for the bad things.
Yeah.
All right. I want you to.
And also when you want to make it good,
you look for
the
the good things. Now, please, it is so unfortunate that all the monogamy advocates want to look at the problems of the families of the polygamous men. And they don't want to look at the problems of the families of the monogamous men. Right? In the Bible. So, now he has said the monogamous, he has mentioned problems of the families of polygamous men. Now, which family of a monogamous man was very successful? All right, which family of a monogamous man is great in scripture? Right? The monogamous men have more problems than polygamous men in the scriptures. Right? We have a monogamous man, Adam. He failed God. So. Incidentally, the monogamous men are very minute in the Bible, but the Bible is full of the polygamous people. They are the great men. All right. Another monogamous man is Isaac. Isaac is under stress from his wife. All right. Until she has confused the children, and the children are fighting forever. That is Jacob and Esau. They are confused by their mother. Now, look at the families of the polygamous men. They are the great families in the Bible. Please, it is the family of Abraham. It is the family of Jacob, Israel. Even in the new Jerusalem to come. It is about the 12 tribes of Jacob, born of 4 women. Now, how can somebody say that the polygamous families ended up wrongly, honestly, from scripture? This is from your own mind, man. Just a minute, because I've listened to you. Spirits, you're talking spirits. The Bible is very clear. Don't take a woman of a strange god. That's the law that God gave. God is aware of what you say. So to counter that issue of spiritism, all right, don't take women of other gods. This was the mistake of Solomon. The mistake of Solomon in scripture is very clear. His mistake is not taking many wives. It's very clear. It is taking women of strange gods. They made him worship God, or other gods, because of that spiritism. So a Christian, a believer, don't take a woman in a unbeliever. All right? However she do good, she looks like. Please, she'll lead you astray. So take your wife, number 1, a Christian, number 2, a Christian, number 3, a Christian, number 10, a Christian. All right? You have the same spirit because you are all connected to the Spirit of God. There are different spirits.
Okay.
Another point, Jesus and the church. This is the one I love most, my brother. That's the one I love most. All right? Now, this is how it is. It's a very polygamous statement. Jesus and the church. Why? Jesus is one individual worldwide. So, one physical individual. There are not 2 Jesus. The church is very many individuals comprising one unit called church. So when Paul says that statement to the church, the audience of Paul understands what he's talking about. It's a very polygamous statement. One husband, Mr. XYZ. All right? Who has how many wives? 10. All the 10 wives, each of them, I belong to, I am Mrs. XYZ. So, the other ones are Miss XYZ. All of them, they are all of one husband. So the church is one, comprised of different units. Christ is one individual. That is polygamy. Now, another thing you talk of, okay, I have answered the question of illegitimacy, and you still go back to it. You are not qualifying where unlawfully it is. You talk of God. You are saying it's against God. I don't know which God you are talking of. The God of the Bible is very polygamous. The Bible is okay. Is it either in Jeremiah or Ezekiel?
Yeah.
God implies himself as a polygamous man.
Where?
Yes, the husband
what
of
is-
Ahola and Oholiba. The husband of Ahola and
The only
Oholiba.
marriage
All right.
that God
one at a
ordained.
time, one at a time, gentlemen.
The only marriage that God ordained is between Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
And he made it clear, one man, one wife. The other marriages are ideas of men. And I want to remind my friend Reverend here that he cannot pretend to be an advocate of God. Otherwise, he would have been quoted in the Bible.
Okay.
But we are not advocating for God.
One at a time, one at a time,
Even
Reverend.
you.
Reverend.
What I'm simply saying
Yeah.
is that this man has a mandate of Matthew chapter 18 to preach the gospel the way he has found it.
Good.
Not to justify what is wrong. An illegitimate thing, however much you sugarcoat it, cannot be legitimate.
Okay.
The fact that God promised Abraham that he's going to make him a father of many nations. And he fixed on things and they did not work. It brought chaos in his marriage. That one, the fact that he married and tried to fix in God does not justify the component of one man, one wife.
All right.
Everywhere in the Bible, it has never been justified. So what is actually qualifying that God is a polygamist? There is nowhere where we have actually seen the example of God right from Genesis to what Jesus is talking about, and then to what Paul is edifying is about one woman, one husband.
All
There
right.
is no way it is justified.
Reverend, let
Yes.
me come to you and let's bring the woman in this situation.
Yes.
Culturally, you find that in most cultures, they do embrace polygamy.
Yes.
And in that case, the husband has to seek consent from the first wife before bringing in a second one or a third one.
Yes.
Now, from where you stand, is that even right for the man to seek consent, considering from where you come, it is based on the gospel that, God ordained it?
Actually,
Does the woman's voice have much weight?
that's very nice. Life is an orientation. It's how you have been cultured, how you have been taught. When women were well cultured, that they had no problem with a second wife, they knew when it is necessary. That's our mothers. They knew when it is necessary to assist the husband get another wife. So even the women themselves were the ones assisting the husband get another wife. All right? Now, and the statement was clear. That this is how we put in our culture. I don't know whether it is the way in your culture. The women were saying he wants her to help her with the work. So. She wants another girl to help, a younger woman to help her with the work. Now, there's a question here. When this man then goes and gets this other girl, whom he has been even advised by his wife, current wife, to go and get, when that woman comes, she is given a share of a shamba, she is given a share of the cows of the first one, and she's built her own store for food, given her own donkeys to fetch water and take to her own house. Now, she's given her own things, and she has come to help the older woman with the work. Now, what work? It is simple. The older woman realized that I'm not able to handle all the work of this man in the bed, and I need an assistance.
So in essence,
So in that case,
Yeah.
because it was acceptable and cultural, well, the woman consulting the wife or the wife suggesting the husband, it was normal. But see, now we have been brainwashed out of that. We have been told that is wrong and it is sin. Now, you tell a man to go and ask his wife to accept. Now, no, she won't accept. All right? Today, she will not accept. Why? Because of culture. The Muslims have no problem with it. It's a problem of Christians. And it is not only Christian women who are educated. The Muslim women have also gone to school. And she is not bothered about how many wives the husband has, as long as he is sticking to the wives he has.
all right.
That is why we don't have, that's why HIV is more among Christians than Muslims, because of the decency in Islam.
So the whole issue of consent shouldn't really involve the woman in this day and time, because the most
Actually-
probable answer would be no.
Actually, the biblical point, the scriptural point, it is a man's decision. It is the man to weigh his ability, financial and otherwise, whether he can manage another woman, and it is him to take. Now look at Boaz. There is no record anywhere where Boaz goes to consult his other wives, because he's definitely a married man. He tells Ruth, my daughter, you have not gone after the young man. So he's an old man. There is no record of him going to consult his other wives.
Okay.
He makes a decision basing on a need. This is a young widow, she's a girl, and she needs to continue with her life. And I am available, and she has shown interest in me. Now, who else do I consult? I have the resources, I have the ability.
So polygamy, from where you stand, is mostly based on the whole sexual bit of the relationship.
Of course, well, you see now, we cannot overlook sex and create decency in life.
Okay.
If we imagine it, we will create disorder. That is where we are now.
So that is the anchor of most polygamous relationships.
Yeah?
That is
I
the
am
anchor?
saying it is anchored on this one thing. God, the creator, and not the devil, creates a scenario, a natural one, where the women for wife are more than the husbands. From Genesis to today. That's a natural thing of God. We are not going to debate about
Where
nature.
is that justified in the Bible, my
Please,
friend?
Just a minute, Abok,
I
just
have,
a
I have
minute.
justified it from when I started talking.
All right.
I have justified with Isaiah. I've justified with
Where
David.
is it written?
Just a
Isaiah
minute.
chapter 4, verse 1.
But that was justifying a dismoral, a dismoral.
Okay, so you mean Isaiah was immoral?
No, not he was moral. He was actually
cannot-
predicting what immorality is going to be.
You cannot
It's a
say,
All
my
right,
brother, that
gentlemen.
Moses is wrong.
Reverend.
No, what I'm saying is that there are right
Reverend,
people
give him time.
warning us on the wrong thing. Now, I thank God that Reverend has actually justified the selfishness of the condition of a man when it comes into the issue of polygamy. Why? Because, you know, he's not recognizing, and it's very unfortunate. I think I need to check his license pretty well. He's actually justifying that what God had put in marriage as a sole intent of the two becoming one, of the same mind and of the same flesh. Now, when you want to make a decision, one party become less of a partner because you are making a decision that selfishly satisfies you.
On the issue of consent.
On the issue of consent.
Okay.
But also, number two, the element of polygamy that is for sex satisfaction. What you need to understand that sex is more psychological than the physical. And if you feel that the many women you have, you will be sexually satisfied, that is neither here nor there.
Okay.
Satisfaction is based on how you tune your mind to get it. Are we getting one another? Because you can be satisfied by your own wife. That one can satisfy you. But if you're promiscuous and you think that, you know, when you get so much, you can be able to, then you have a right to feel on that. But that is not the right thing.
Okay.
God ordained it and knew it. And this is both scientifically and spiritually, that sex is psychological and you can get satisfied with one woman.
All right, now, Reverend,
Yes.
I was just reading an article that, was saying that, polygamy is breeding poverty for the women and children involved, because in this day
Yes.
and time that we're seeing, it is mostly men who are not as enabled, or as financially able to take up this many women. So they tend to have so many women and so many children, and they're not able to cater for them. Can that be justified? Is it right to say that polygamy, in essence, has bred poverty for some women and children who are involved in them?
Remember what I said, and this remains the Bible perspective. Many women has always been for the able men.
For
Are we
the
together?
abled men,
Yes.
not just any man.
Not any man. And it is not compulsory. Just a minute, sir. It's not compulsory, all right? It is only a necessity. It is a necessity in an orderly, decent society. Polygamy is a necessity to the able men and the willing women, such that if some willing women, and today also, the women are also owning resources. If a woman of means finds that actually I don't want to be a kind of somebody, and there's a man here I love, and he has no resources, and she decides that he will be my husband, and I'll become wife to him, it's a very hard situation, but I'm saying, if it happens, there's no problem. But I'm saying, please, you cannot accuse polygamy for breeding poverty. Monogamy is the worst evil in causing poverty, because children are born by a rich man.
Okay.
and he has resources, and he is curtailed from helping those his children. They are in the streets. If I thank God for what Mushoba said another day.
I
His
remember that.
children are in the streets, born by some men, and the men are able.
So for the men who are in polygamous relationships and are having multiple women and multiple children and are not able to take care of them, that is their own undoing.
Yes, that's their own undoing. Don't take what you cannot bite.
And I remember what Mushomba actually said, if
Yes.
you are able to take up more than one woman,
Please
you can
take.
go ahead and do
You
so.
know, you have a problem because here we are denying rich men, all right, and they have the resources to take care of several women, and we tell them no. Then we are forcing them to live a lie in secret.
Okay.
So there are some few things he had mentioned. I wanted to respond to him. Well, he is only looking at equality of husband and wife. Please, when I started preaching, we were never preaching equality of husband and wife. It is not scriptural, right? There is no, the man is the head, all right, of the woman. That is a scripture and it cannot be broken. In scripture, in Bible doctrine, there is no equality of husband and wife. It's not there.
So does it
The
mean that the woman
husband
is the tail?
is the head. Please, the husband is the head.
And where is the woman?
The woman is under the man. And the Bible is very
So
clear.
what is the position of a woman according to
She
you?
is the helper of the man, and the man is the head.
Good.
It very much says clearly in Corinthians. The head of Christ is God. The head of the man is Christ.
Wonderful.
The head of the woman is the man.
Yes.
Now, there is no equality there. Please. The other thing, so I'm saying, this equality of husband and wife is very irreligious. It is feminism. It breeds confusion in a marriage. It makes the family a leaderless institution. When there is no one head in the institution who can give orders and give direction to the institution called marriage.
Okay.
Please, like in a school, there is an headmaster. In the workplace, there's a CEO, and there are sometimes you have to make the way forward and we move.
All
Now,
right.
that is what marriage is.
Okay.
The man is the head. He is answerable to God.
Yes.
All right, now I'm being told we're
Yes.
almost running out of time, but let me come to you, Abok. From what he's saying, that the whole issue of polygamy and equality being manly thing, not a godly thing. Is there a proper representation of polygamy anywhere,
Never. There is no.
Where?
even in this day and time?
Please simplify your question.
When we talk about polygamy, just as he's saying,
Yes.
it is anchored from the Bible.
Yes.
But in this day and time, you find that we taking
Now,
up women.
listen, Jen.
Hold
Don't
on.
say it's hung out of the Bible.
No.
It is a
From
selfish.
what he is
Yes,
saying, I'm
yes,
borrowing from
yes,
his
yes.
school of thought,
Yes.
that polygamy is anchored in the Bible.
Yes.
There's nowhere that it has been disqualified as a
Yes.
way of life.
Yes.
And the fact that, we are, in this day and time, the unable men are taking up women who they cannot be able to take care of.
Yes.
Is that, just listening to all he's saying,
Yes.
is there a proper representation of what polygamy is and what marriage as instituted in the Bible is, from where you stand?
There is no. Because what is justified is God has actually given us a guideline on how things ought to be. For the equality, God has given us regulations. Put a man on top as the head, but does not given him authority to be mischievous.
Okay.
In this fact, that as man is the head, a woman is the helper, which means that there is need for working together, mutual consent, mutual understanding, and consultation, and coherence that can be able to brood a peaceful, conducive.
All right.
We are not animals that just jump on top of the other. It is an agreement. Number two,
Very briefly.
yes, the element of the rich men taking more wife. This is a moral issue. And in morality, you cannot bring capability because morality apply across the board. So if you're allowing the rich man to be the only one who can actually be able to marry, why is it that the poor man has more children than the rich man? Right? Because they have nothing to do, and that's the only thing that they can be able to do. And the people who are actually, the kids around in the streets are not the kids of the rich men, they're kids of the poor men.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Reverend, as we wind up, from what you are, from where your school of thought and even how polygamy is represented these days, is it the proper representation of what polygamy was instituted to be, from where you stand?
From where I stand, society has been corrupted. When the West made Western ideologies to be Christian, they polluted the doctrine of God. Please, the doctrine of marriage can only be found in the Bible.
Yes. One wife.
Please, no. There's no way it says the man. If there's no way it talks of one man, one wife.
Genesis chapter 2, verses 26. What
right.
are you reading?
Please, we cannot stick in in your theory, it means the only relevant part of Bible is Genesis.
No, it is the same thing that God
just
said.
a minute, let me
Jesus
finish.
said it,
Hold
and
on.
Paul.
Hold on.
Okay.
I think we'll have to continue with this
So,
discussion
just a
further,
minute.
but just wind up
Yes,
what
I'm
you're
going
saying.
further. I'm saying it's unfortunate
Briefly.
that society today want to look at polygamy from the point of a man having many sex partners. I deny totally no. That is not true. It is not a man seeking sex. It is a man meeting the need of a God and God-created environment where there is another woman needing a husband and there has to be decency. Now, the doctrine of God is very clear. My friend is talking interesting theories, trying to imply a God whom we don't find in the Bible.
Yeah.
All right? Very nice theories of his. But me, I'm speaking the Bible. The Bible is polygamous, Genesis to Revelation. There's no doubt about it. And there's a lot of God. From Genesis to Revelation, there is God.
All right.
Let me be very quick. Number one, the Bible said that cursed is any man who put his trust upon a man. So there is no way that man can have a responsibility of helping another man. Man does not do a woman a favor by adding more wives. So that is out of place. Number two, jealousy is such a big problem in polygamy. Joseph was sold out to the Midianites, courtesy of polygamy. All this other dysfunctionality, poverty, and all manner of things as a result of polygamy.
All right. I think we'll have to continue with this discussion to just further see where it will go. And of course, we will push this discussion to next week. And of course, I also want to hear your thoughts on the whole aspect of polyandry, where a woman who's very enabled can have multiple husbands. Do you agree with it or do you not agree with it?
As long as the doctrine is of the Bible, please, there is no polyandry in the Bible.
All right.
As long as the doctrine is from
All right. So we will be continuing with this discussion
because you've already created the polygamy.
Gentlemen.
So,
I have been speaking with Fred Abok, who is a motivational speaker. He's a counselor. He's also a minister of the gospel and our resident guest. And next to him, we have Reverend Victor Mboya
Vincent.
Oh, Vincent. Apologies. Vincent Mboya Mulwa. He is a reverend in support of, polygamy. He even has a book about it. Polygamy is the Bible way, thus God's way. And just as I said, we can't exhaust this discussion in this one sitting. We'll be continuing with this discussion further, and we'll be having a lady on set to see her thoughts in regards to all this, and not just me. That puts a cap on this discussion. Thank you so much for being part of it. We have another discussion coming up in not too long, but let's take a quick breather. We'll be right back. This is Good Morning Kenya. Keep the conversation going on Twitter, #Good Morning Kenya, at KBC Television. My handle is the Genuine Boy, and our SMS line 20154 is the number. See you after the break.